everybody, and welcome back to another video game analysis. And yes, today, like I said last time at the end, I'm actually going to do a topic that came up in a Brain Scratch Comms video. I forget which one, but it was interesting. It caught my attention. They were talking about why platformers were weird, and it's such a basic thing for games in general, but it's especially true for platformers. Like, things like what sense does it make that Mario eats a mushroom and gets bigger? What does golden rings have to do with a blue hedgehog? Like stuff like that. And yeah, so I thought it was an interesting topic to take on. And again, I'm not going to give you a total this is the answer, this is why, but I had a few ideas I thought I'd share on the subject, 'cause I think it's an interesting topic and something worth talking about.
I think the most obvious thing and the core aspect to it is the idea of using imagination, of interaction. And I've talked about interaction in gaming before, and I can use Mario 1 here. It's so many analysis videos when it comes to topics like this, because the Super Mario Brothers game, the first one, was an industry-making game, and it is just it's something that I'd be shocked if any teacher of game design or something like that would never, if they never looked at Mario 1 at all, even for the littlest of things. I'm sorry, they're missing the point of teaching kids or adults whatever game programming. But yeah, I think it has to do with interaction. These are games are different than other forms of media, because not only can you get involved in a story or in characters, but you can get involved in controlling what happens in the game itself. Therefore, there's other than having fun gameplay and colorful graphics, you also want to have things that fascinate the gamer. Like a whole new logic where you go, yeah, duh, of course if you have a fire flower, Mario can shoot fire. And of course he can shoot fire underwater, It's like, it's something that we don't question. We believe it. And it's like a story. It's like watching a movie. If you're going to be in a fictional universe, you have to make it believable. And a big part of that is the fun, the graphics, the gameplay, the overall game itself, the why you enjoy it, what makes you enjoy it. And, a big part of that is, not a big part, but I would say a hidden part underneath it all, is the idea that this game doesn't follow the laws of reality. And that's okay. I believe this. This is a fictional world, and I can have fun with this fictional world. It's not just reality. That's what I want to escape when I play video games. It's a hobby I like. And there's an example of how much the Retron 5 controller sucks. I was trying to slide jump underneath there, but I'm going to probably make excuses for my poor performances in these games. But anywho, that being said, by the way, here's some tips about playing platformers. The number one cause of death in platformers is greed. You see that one up? That's why it killed me. But yeah, I got way off topic. But yeah, the point is, this is the core aspect, I think. I think is actually the most logical thing a game developer, or at least Miyamoto, whoever developed this game's logic and all, it comes from the idea that it's a game we can get into. It's something we can find believable. It's a fictional world with a fictional person. Why not have fun with it? Why not play around? Why not go over the top with the laws of reality, And yeah, it's that little thing. It's those little things that people get very fascinated by.
I mean, storytelling is something that always been in games. Even if it's as little as Mario or if it's as big as Mass Effect, story is a part of media. Since the dawning of time, with the ancient Greeks and the pantheons, drama and tragedy, all that crap, comedy, people want to be entertained. And that is a big part of video games, is to be entertained. And controlling a story, you directly with a controller or whatever, controlling the story is pretty big if you think about it. Like, it's no big deal in today's world of technology, but it's just something to imagine. And in this world, you can't have anything entertaining without some sort of story. Even if it's just, there's Dr. Robotnik, he's roboticizing animals, stop him. you know. And it's like the little, even if there's no story there is some sort of narrative, and there's some things that you can get involved with other than just controlling the player.
So yeah, like I said, there's other things you can do other than controlling the player. And a big part of that is filling the world. A lot of fans can do. It's like, yeah, back in the day, you had instruction booklets. It's not like today with cutscenes or anything. And even with today and cutscenes and everything, there's always more you can fill into the world and the story. That's why fan fictions exist. That's why fan games exists. Like, I think the perfect example is Sonic before the sequel and after the sequel. The fan games of Sonic's between Sonic 1 and 2 when Sonic met Tails, and then after Sonic 2 before when they went to Angel Island. That's some amazing stuff. Or the Mother 4 game I mentioned last week is being worked on right now. There's this universe. Like, who cares if Sonic has rings? It's like, wow, how interesting. Like, let's take the Sonic Sadam show, the one with Sally Acorn and all that. Like, they've made meaning of the... Like, it's hard to make a story out of this, as if barely anything. But, they did. They made a story that was really well, and it's still used in the Archie comics to this day. And then on top of that, you have so many fan fictions and everything building on the world of Sonic the Hedgehog. Is it believable? Is it perfect logic? No. It's weird, yeah. But you know what? It's something we find believable, like I said before, the core thing. We find it believable, and we find it entertaining. And we add on to that because we're fans of that. We want to express that. This is all stuff I said last week too, but the point is, a part of platforms being weird is it's attractive. It's something you can think about. It's something you want to make sense of. It's part of the human race. We are rational we consider ourselves rational beings. And with that rationality, we have to make sense of the world around us. And when we don't have a world we can make sense out of, that's what happens. You end up hit the goal, and then you disappear, not getting a Chaos Emerald. Like, what's up with that? But yeah, I can't make any excuses here. I'm actually using a Genesis controller. It's the only controller I can get working on the damn Retron 5. I gotta get some new NES and Super Nintendo controllers or something. But here I am going off topic again. Like I said, yeah, see the parallelism I'm doing here? Storytelling. But yeah, like I said, the idea here is people are fascinated. Like Legend of Zelda is another great example. It's not exactly a platformer, but it's another great example of, yeah, of course you get rupees from vases. Of course you can, of course there's these big monsters going around everywhere in Hyrule Field that you have to, that especially at night when these skeletons come up. It's believable and entertaining. And people write around that. People discover things. People theorize things that actually can make a lot of sense within the universe. It's really interesting stuff if you think about it. And that's why I thought this was such an interesting topic, because it's like, yeah, there's so many things people do to interact with the game, but a big part of that may actually be the game itself, Like, I mean, not the game itself, but the strange logic the game presents. I think that's a better way of saying it. With a different logic, you can't go wrong with that. That's why I think it's such a popular thing to do in platformers. Is platformers, they're not very heavy in story like RPGs are. They need something to latch you on, because that's why a lot of hardcore gamers, I would say, are big fans of RPGs. Not only because of the skill level and thought process behind it, but because there's this universe you want to get into. Remember, it's like a friend of mine was saying before. He was saying, like, I'm still waiting for friends who are still up in the moon because of Final Fantasy VII remake,
It's these little minor things, in the world, like those little touches, those little attentions to detail. Like again, let me go back to Brain Scratch Cons, who inspired this idea. They're playing Shantae and the Pirate's Curse at the time of this recording, and what I find interesting is their love of all the little details. Like, what happens if this happens? It's like, it does follow some logic. It's like, hey, wouldn't this do this? Hey, and it does. You're so excited to see something like you thought of actually exist in the game. It shows the thought process the game developer had. It's like, let me interest people a little bit. Let me add a little detail, because it's those little things. Like in Metroid games are very famous for that. It's the little things that really excite a gamer, And, it doesn't always work out, but it depends on how well the game developer thought of it, thought things through. It depends on how much the gamer is willing to interact with it and invest in it, you know, because that's where fans of video games or any media come from.
So I could have picked a lot of games to add here. I could have picked Mega Man. I could have picked Pac World. I could have picked Gex or Crash Bandicoot or Spyro the Dragon. But I picked Bubsy the Cat. And I deliberately did this because not only did I own the game, I bought this because of its notorious thing with the internet nowadays. But I picked this game because Bubsy is such a perfect metaphor for what happens when you only focus on a game for its wacky world and its character and everything. This game tried so hard, like it's a Sonic the Hedgehog ripoff, and except it had that little weird floaty thing when you hold the jump button. Bubsy the Cat tried way too hard. This is stuff we know. If you ever watched The Nerd or any game reviewer, they got into Bubsy at one point because it's just so infamous and interests people because of the fact that it's a bad game. It's horribly programmed, and it's like I'm just making that point. It's like, of course, platformers being weird can be fun, but but like I think weird is just a replacement word for the game's attractiveness to its world and to its look and design and style. Like, why the hell did I die there? You know, there's no indication that I couldn't step on that. You know, these are the things. There's no thought put in the game itself. I like what they said in the Hyrule Historia, the Zelda team, that they make the games in the dungeon first and then they think of the story afterwards. I think that's a better thing to do because it shows that, hey, okay, so we have a game that's really fun. How do we add on to that? How do we add more worlds? Again, I know Zelda isn't a platformer, but I think it's a good example. And like, how the hell did I die there? You know, it's like then there's this part I keep going through because it's just the controls are horribly programmed. Everything's horribly programmed. How the hell was I supposed to know that was going to happen? You know, I can go on and on about this same point over and over. I can bang this into everyone's heads. There's many styles you can do with the platform. The platformer was a big industry maker, and it's making a big comeback with, well, at least 3D platformers with games like Ukulele and whatnot. And 2D platformers are still strong today, especially with games like the new Super Mario Brothers. Whether no matter how you feel about that game, or games like Little Big Planet, you know. Like it's just a popular medium, no different than the first-person shooter. It's a very popular, well-known genre that game developers can write novels on how to make a good one. Not like this one, you know. But that's just my overall point. You know, you can get too distracted with the overall world. Like, this is weird. This is way too strange. There is no logic being put into this. At least put some logic in your lack of logic, you know, because that's how you think of something. That's how you do a well thought out story, no matter how small it is, and a well thought out, fleshed out world.
So yes, just to close off, I really want to stress to people who want to be storytellers or game designers, whatever. You can't just throw things on there, all pretty and colorful, and expect it to work. Even a collage is supposed to be well thought out. Even though you can stretch reality, you can bend things around and make it believable, you have to be sure that it's well thought out and planned out. There still needs to be a logic to it, you know? But yeah, that ends it really. That's just a warning I want to tell people. Like, don't get carried away, you know, then you'll have a Bubsy and not a Sonic or a Mario. So yes. Next week, we are going to talk about the Kingdom Hearts series and do a character analysis on Sora. So I'm really excited for that one. We did a lot of Nintendo stuff for a while, so I'm glad I get to move on to something else. So yeah, it'll be fun.
As always, if there's anything I missed, if there's anything I got wrong, if there's anything you would like to add to the conversation, please do not hesitate to leave a comment, and, you know, a like and share will always help. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been Billy, your video game analyzer. Have a good day, good night, whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you next time.